Oh, are you live? 2 people are watching.
Well, one's me. The big one. Where? Yeah, I know a partner there.
Evan, you ready to speak?
Yeah. How about you?
No.
What's your views?
No, I haven't had my coffee yet, so I can't speak.
Is there a way to mute it until...
I need to tell a problem.
Oh, wait. Oh. Just plug it in so it's just the sound over there, right? Oh, God. I don't like the mic thing.
Testing. How's the sound? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. I
thought about that. What's your electric car?
Yeah. Hey Kelly, are you matching this with that?
Sure. More coordinated than matching?
I like it. I'm just glad my shirt, my jacket.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad your tie looks good too.
Tyler, where's your tie?
We're trendsetters.
Ties are overrated. All right, we all ready? Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm proud to launch with my Republican colleagues the Conservative Climate Caucus. The caucus is a place for Republicans to advance serious climate solutions that do not ask them to leave their conservative values at the door. Those who watch this caucus will see Republicans do care about this earth deeply. We too want to leave this earth better than we found it. We will offer multiple solutions that in many cases are far more impactful while enhancing economic prosperity. We don't need to kill the U.S. economy to reach our climate goals. Republicans will show the need to depart from the shaming culture found in today's climate dialogue and celebrate our successes. We will show that results matter. We will offer solutions that truly move the needle and not just feel-good proposals that take the head off to fix the headache and don't really reduce carbon emissions worldwide. The goal of the Conservative Climate Caucus is to bring members of the Republican Party together to educate each other on climate policies that will make real progress in reducing emissions throughout America and around the world. Proposals to reduce emissions and to be good stewards of the earth do not need to hurt the American economy. In fact, it's just the opposite. There is a way to lower emissions without sacrificing American jobs and principles. And I believe Republicans are the ones to lead out on this. Thank you for joining us today. I have a number of my Republican colleagues here. We'll start with Garret Graves from the Climate Select Committee, He'll be followed by Tim Wahlberg, Dan Newhouse, Kelly Armstrong, Marionette Miller-Meeks, Blake Moore, Peter Meyer. We're also pleased to have Troy Balderson with us and Bob Latta. That order might slightly change, as you well know, as members come and go, but let's start from there. Mr. Graves.
Hey, I'm Garret Graves from Louisiana, and I first want to thank John Curtis for his leadership in pulling this caucus together. I want to be really clear on what this is and why we're doing this. John just said that this is about thinking about America, thinking about the right principles that motivate our policies moving forward. I want to be really clear. We're committed to policies that advance a clean energy future for the United States. But you know what else we're committed to? We're committed to solutions that are proven to work. Right now, the United States is leading the world in reducing emissions. We are the global leader, and it's not even close. With the United States reducing emissions more than the next 12 emissions-reducing countries combined. And you know what we're doing that based upon? We're doing it based upon America's resources, American workers. Not moving in a direction that's going to offshore jobs, that's going to raise energy prices, that's going to cause economic activity to be transferred from the United States to other countries. And let me give you a few facts. You know, President Obama put in place a rule called the Clean Power Plan that was going to force a reduction in emissions coming from the power sector. And do you know that during President Trump's administration, we actually were able to exceed that goal that President Obama set for 2030. We exceeded that goal in 2019. We didn't do it with mandates. We didn't do it with picking technological winners or losers. We did it because of America's innovators, because of the same people that allowed us to grow the United States to be this amazing economy, this amazing place to accomplish your version of the American dream. And that's how we're going to continue leading. We're going to continue leading this clean energy revolution where the United States is spending more money than any other country in the world in energy research and development. We're doing it without mandates, without regulations, without causing our consumers to have to pay double or triple the cost of energy, without sending jobs overseas. So we're really excited about this opportunity to come together to let American innovators innovate and continue leading us out of this, continue leading us in a direction of reducing energy emissions and ensuring that we do it based on U.S. resources. Yield to Congressman Wahlberg.
Thank you, and thank you, John, for leading us. I'm delighted to be here. I've got to get to 2 committee hearings where we're fighting some other things that are moving us backwards. In this area, I come from Michigan. I represent Lake Erie in my district, one of the 5 Great Lakes. Most people don't understand that the Great Lakes have over 20% of the world's fresh water. That's what we're responsible for. We've done our best. We've seen massive improvements. We've even got administrations in the past 2 administrations to advance the dollars spent in Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. I love standing in freestone streams with my fly rod in hand. I don't want polluted streams. I spend most of my time when I'm away from here outdoors, enjoying the beauties that is life in Michigan. But I also understand that representing an area that has the auto industry, the birthplace of the American auto industry, of the world auto industry, the birthplace of the motor capital of the world, we need innovation that continues on. Never in the history of the United States have we gone backwards. We've innovated forwards. We can do that in energy. And as has been said, my colleagues already, if we did everything that the Green New Deal people want us to do, we wouldn't move the needle at all for any responsible purpose. Innovation is what we need to work with, and I think that's the beauty of this caucus, moving forward with innovation, still caring for our environment, because we need that, but it's an environment that ought to advance us, not move us backwards. And I hope that all of the media check with the other side and ask them, are they willing to move backwards? Are they willing to have less than more? Are they willing not to be the innovator for the world that expands the opportunities for the rest of the world as well? I, for one, say I'm not going backwards. We're innovating. we're making a difference, and we're doing it for the good. Turn it over to Dan Newhouse.
Thanks for joining us on this beautiful summer day. I want to thank Congressman Curtis for not only forming this Conservative Climate Caucus and for gathering us to help amplify a very important message, that conservatives care about our climate and conservatives care about our environment. More often than not, conservatives, Republicans, whole communities across rural America are not given the credit when it comes to their conservation efforts and their stewardship of our lands and our natural resources. You've heard mentioned, while socialist agendas like the Green New Deal make the headlines and offer false promises that simply cannot be kept, we know what it means to lead with our actions, not just our words. As a farmer, I am proud to represent Central Washington, where farmers and ranchers are leading local efforts to maintain our clean air, our clean water, and where just down the road from our farms, researchers and scientists are on the cutting edge of clean energy research and grid storage technology. I also serve as chairman of the Congressional Western Caucus, which is a group of members from across the country who represent rural communities and advocate for common sense free market approaches to caring for our environment. As a group, we understand that locally led conservation efforts are far more effective than a one-size-fits-all mandate from the federal government. We owe it to our children and our grandchildren to keep our planet healthy, and the Conservation Climate Caucus aims to prove that we can do so while protecting our values, relying on the best available science, and empowering Americans to do what they do best: come together to solve problems facing our communities. This caucus lays the groundwork for a climate agenda that limits the strong arm of the federal government, empowers the free market, and is rooted in the individual freedom that is guaranteed by the American dream. And I look forward to working with my colleagues to further prove that we can protect our environment and support our agricultural industry, restore our forests and our economies, and promote both clean energy and energy independence. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Armstrong from North Dakota, and I just really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this and Congressman Curtis setting it up. I've had the privilege of serving under Congressman Graves on the Select Committee on the Climate, and what I've learned over the last 2 years is that we have to get better at telling our story. Listen, North Dakota's proud of what we do. Ag and energy are the #1 and #2 industries. We feed and fuel the world. We are a big reason why the United States is both energy and food secure. North Dakota is a big reason why we have the cheapest, most secure food source in the history of the world. But we also need to do a better job at telling our story, because I think far too often people think that if we don't have this massive, strict federal regulation, then the climate and these communities and what we're doing is bad. And I can tell you that's not the case, because these industries live, work, and play in my communities, in my state. Their children go to school there. They go to church there. We want clean air. We want clean water. We do it well. And we want to continue to be able to push those messages forward and allow communities, allow industries, allow companies, and allow American workers to thrive on the world stage and continue to innovate and continue to bring technology forward to continue to lower our carbon emissions and do all of these things. We believe in energy security. We believe in a clean environment. Listen, if you live in North Dakota and you don't like the outdoors, you're probably in the wrong spot. And we do this every single day. We want to protect the earth. We want to protect the air, but mostly we protect our communities while we do this in a responsible fashion. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to do this, and I'm really excited about showing how North Dakota leads the way in clean food production and clean energy production. And with that, I would turn it over to Blake Moore.
All right. There we go. Thank you. I will be brief.
I'm Representative Blake Moore from the 1st District of Utah, and I've been in Congress 6 months, and the two words or topics or that you don't always necessarily experience in that building behind me is 1, credibility, and 2, productivity. And my fellow Utahn and representative of the 3rd District in Utah, John Curtis, really exemplifies both of these. And it's about why we're here today for those particular reasons. 1, the credibility to admit, acknowledge, and tackle the challenges that we do face with our climate, and the productivity to be able to put something like this together to start today, to be able to have several discussions and several working meetings about this topic is just shows what the work that you can do when you focus on those 2 particular items. And again, credibility and productivity. But there's a little secret that I'm going to share with everybody right now. That we didn't need this caucus to really address what we've been working on for the last, let's call it, a decade, right? It's a great thing to be able to come together and share our message, but we've been doing this work for quite some time. That's why that's why our nation is leading in this effort. That's why we've been able to make significant gains in this. And I'm really, the thing that I wanted to express today is a real appreciation for our industry. We cannot continue to vilify our industry that has taken on this challenge, that acknowledges the need to address this. And they are, every single time I go out I represent the northeastern part of Utah, which has largely a strong focus on energy production. Every visit that I make to these organizations, these companies, these groups, they put me in front of their environmental standards people. They are working on this. They are staying out ahead of this. They are trying to lead the world in addressing this challenge. And so we've been doing this for a long time. And so while I'm extremely appreciative of formalizing this today, which is a very, very important step, we've already been doing this. We have the credibility, and the Republican embrace of our industry to create innovation to solve these problems is what we should be celebrating, and what we should not continue to vilify our industries for doing all the right things over the past decade. And that's my message, just to tell all of the men and women working in this industry, thank you for addressing this and working with us, because we want to find solutions too. And I'm extremely appreciative of my colleagues that are out here, my mentors that have been leading this effort for some time now, and it's really exciting to be a part of it. So thank you.
I'm Peter Meyer from Michigan's 3rd District. We have the Great Lakes state. We are living in a state that is defined by our relation to our natural environment, and I'm incredibly proud to join my good friend John Curtis in this caucus. And I agree with Blake. This movement has already been begun. It's important to formalize it, but the legacy of Teddy Roosevelt, the legacy of a conservation ethos within the conservative movement, that's always been there. But one of the challenges is, for too long, we've looked at the issue of climate and the issue of the environment as a zero-sum political messaging game. I'm proud that with this caucus, we're not going to be bringing snowballs onto the House floor, right? We're bringing solutions. We're not using this as a cheap talking point. We actually want to pursue principle-based, metric-based, fact-based approaches. Because what our colleagues on the other side of the aisle do far too often is they look at the environment as a cloak they can wrap around any policy, as just another adjective in front of a nebulously defined justice that can encompass whatever their talking points want it to. I care about making sure that we stem rising sea levels. I care about the fact that we need to work on global warming. We need to reduce our carbon emissions. We need to look at some of the other non-carbon but greenhouse gas contributors. These are important things that, frankly, we are aligned with our business community on. And there is nothing more conservative than the idea of an ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure. Being grateful for the bounty that we've inherited and feeling that obligation to not consume it, to not waste it, to not take advantage of it, but to grow it for future generations. So that's why I'm proud that our Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, put out on Earth Day the Growing Climate Solutions package, and I'm proud that our good colleague from the state of Utah is leading us in this effort. And with that, everyone else on this list is not speaking. So,
thank you, Peter. I am so pleased that my colleagues have joined me here this morning. It should not go unnoticed that as we launch this Conservative Climate Caucus, just a hair shy of a quarter of the entire conference has signed up for this caucus, and we expect many more will in the upcoming days. As you all know, there is so much support here on Capitol Hill for good causes, and I've been the beneficiary of a number of outside organizations, and I'd like to personally stop and thank these organizations for their support, for their wisdom and their guidance. Two of those are here today. By the way, we took care of the weather, the humidity, but we forgot the chainsaws. Two of those great organizations are here today, CRES and ClearPath. And now I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of CRES, Heather Reis.
Thank you, Congressman. Good morning. I'm Heather Reis. I'm the Executive Director of Citizens for Responsible Energy Solutions. We're an organization whose mission is focused on the creation of domestic policy to lower emissions, but also increasing America's competitive edge. I'm proud to be here with such a distinguished group of members to create the forming of the Conservative Climate Caucus. I also commend the leadership of Congressman Curtis and his staff for their hard work to build this caucus. The climate is changing, and to address it, our country needs a common sense approach that works by reducing energy prices, not energy choices, by shrinking emissions, not our economy, and by exporting American innovation, not American jobs. This caucus also understands that climate change is a global issue and that over-regulating America will do nothing to affect emissions abroad. Today, 85% of all greenhouse gas emissions are created outside of the United States. This means that U.S. energy and climate policy must foster innovation and commercialization pathways that work for Indiana as well as for India. With the leadership displayed just in this formation of the caucus, I'm confident that common sense solutions will emerge from these members working together. And to that end, my team and I are thrilled to be working with all of you. Thank you.
Now I'd like to turn the microphone over to ClearPath and ask them to say just a few remarks.
Thank you so much, Representative Curtis, Graves, McMorris, Rogers, Westerman, Lucas, McCall, Thompson, Armstrong, Newhouse, Lotta, Meyer, Wahlberg, Moore, Balderson. I miss anyone? Right here? No. And the more than 50 others that have now joined this Conservative Climate Caucus. I'm Rich Powell. I lead ClearPath. We advocate for policies that accelerate clean energy and industrial innovation. Climate change is an urgent challenge that merits significant policy action at every level of the federal government and private sector. It's an honor to stand here with these leaders today who will be working to help educate their colleagues on these challenges. And here's the thing that doesn't get reported enough. Conservatives have real solutions for climate, ones that are technologically realistic, economically feasible, and politically sustainable. Over the past decade, conservatives have institutionalized big, bold goals anchored in clean energy breakthroughs as the best solution to solving the climate challenge. Leader McCarthy and House Republicans rolled out an ambitious climate and clean energy package just 2 months ago that would reduce U.S. and, more important, global emissions by billions of tons in the coming decades. This Conservative Climate Caucus will focus on the problem that everyone acknowledges and help laser-focus members on the most innovative solutions. I again congratulate these leaders on taking this bold step and look forward to their progress ahead. Thanks.
I'd like to thank all of you for being with us. Do we have a moment for questions, Ali? Yeah. If the members and Heather and Rich will come in just a little bit closer, because I'm not going to answer all the questions, we'll be happy to take any questions that you have.
Anyone who's here, feel free to ask a question, or if we're good on time, then we can just call
we're going, for the record, the press was speechless today. Go ahead.
I was wondering about, you guys are mentioning that most of the carbon emissions are made outside of the U.S., right? So what are the ideas for getting other countries on board? I know this has been huge, so how
yeah. Graves?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna steal repeatedly a line from Heather. That was awesome. We're gonna export American innovation, not American jobs. Look, when you look at credibility on this issue, it's actually our policies, the people standing behind me, our policies that have resulted in the greatest reduction in emissions globally. The director of the International Energy Agency came out and said that what we've done with energy emissions reductions is the most historic reductions in world history. And so you start digging into that. How have we done it? We've done it by the transition to natural gas that has had substantial reductions in emissions. We've done it by a tighter regulatory structure, or by having best practices in our energy industry that results in the United States natural gas having a 42 to 47% lower emissions profile than Russian gas. Think about that for just a minute. 42 to 47% delivered to Europe, delivered to Asia. So we have a lot of best practices, and of course the role of renewable energy sources and some of the technology we're developing right here in America that we then have China pirate and sell back to us at cheaper prices. We have opportunities to continue innovating with renewable energy technologies. But of course, I want to be very clear and serious on this. But of course, we do have to make sure that results in the protection of those intellectual properties, and it results in benefiting the U.S. economy and not exporting jobs to other countries. Last thing I'm going to say, we've got to be really thoughtful and careful about how we do this, because when you look at the strategies that have been carried out by folks that have tried to lean forward a little bit more, look at some of our friends in the EU that are paying triple the cost of energy and electricity that we're paying. Look at what's happening in California, where they're paying twice the cost of electricity we're paying at home, the most dependent state upon foreign energy, the least reliable electricity grid in America, and had the 8th worst emissions increases in the country. Which one of those do you like? I mean, you're disproportionately impacting the poor. You have greater emissions. You have higher costs, more dependence upon foreign energy. You really want to take that type of success and force it on the other 49 states? So I think we have the clearest game plan that actually works, is proven, and that's what we want to continue building upon, doubling and tripling down on those successes and exporting it.
That's the positive part on it. The other part we have to do is make sure we combat policies in this country that take us out of that equation. We have strategic adversaries in the world that are more than willing to fill the void on products that the entire population needs. And we want to make sure that U.S. companies and U.S. ingenuity are the ones leading the charge. Because I think one of the fallacies about a lot of these things is that the world's not going to consume more oil next year than it does this year, or coal. So we need to be allowed to play on that market because of the ingenuity. But too often we set policies based on climate in the United States that's designed to outsource our guilt. It doesn't really make the planet any cleaner. It doesn't lower any emissions. It just makes us feel better in the United States. So we have to make sure we're cognizant that we're participating in a world economy with other countries that are more than willing to fill the void if we shrink back from this stage.
Other questions? Good. Thank you again to those who participated today. Watch us. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks.
Yeah. Great. An interesting Caucus. That was